Rams house. Welcome into a brand new episode of the Rams Report presented by Prize Picks. Guys, play alongside all of us here at Chat Sports and get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup with code HMA on Prize Picks. But on today's show, we're going to be breaking down one of our rookies. We've been doing rookie deep dives. We dove deep, on Ty Simpson. We talked about Max Clare in depth. We covered CJ Daniels. Now it is time to meet Keagen Trost, our new rookie offensive lineman, our third-round pick. So we're going to go through this on three different fronts. We're going to meet him. We're going to get to know him as a person, his story before he became a Los Angeles Ram. We're going to talk about his role in year one, what things should look like for him from that perspective, what his initial kind of expectations are going to be for this team, how we're going to see him deployed in his first year. And then we're going to look beyond that. We're going to look at what the long-term vision, or at least when I say long-term, I really mean the duration of his rookie contract vision is for a guy like Keagen Trost with this Los Angeles Rams team. So again, if you're not familiar with Mr. Keagen Trost, he is our third-round pick. He's coming out of Missouri, but as you will quickly discover, it's a little bit more complicated than that when we dive into Trost's story. He he's born and raised in a Chicago suburb known as Kankakee, and he attended high school in that area. I off the dome cannot remember the name of his high school, but he was a zero-star recruit. In 2019, he came out of high school with basically no recruiting attention. Nobody was really giving Keagen Trost the time of day as far as college football goes. He had a couple FCS offers, and he ended up heading to Morgan State to play, but no FBS attention. He was not on any of the major recruiting boards. And so he ends up committing in 2019 to Morgan State. But apparently, and this is according to Dane Brugler of The Beast, he got a little homesick at Morgan State, and he transferred in 2020 to Indiana State. But of course, COVID in 2020 shut down the season that year for the Sycamores, so he wouldn't actually make his debut until 2021. But right away, he was seeing action with Indiana State. He worked rotationally for them that season, and then he became a starter for 2022 and 2023, and we'll get into that more in depth in just a minute. He then transferred to Wake Forest, where he started at right tackle for the Demon Deacons, and then lastly, he transferred up to the SEC level in 2025 and played his final season of college football at Missouri with the Tigers. And what's really fascinating about this, and I kind of alluded to it, Trost has really, really done it all. Like, truly done it all. Before 2022, he played a variety of guard positions for Indiana State and for Morgan State as well. He was seeing action from the beginning at Morgan State, at tackle. But he has played right tackle for Indiana State. He's kicked over to the left side in 2023 at Indiana State. He played a little bit of left tackle, but mostly right tackle at Wake Forest, and then he was the full-time right tackle at Missouri as well. We're going to talk about this more in depth on the back end of today's show, but the number one thing I want you to realize about Keagen Trost's winding college road is how many opportunities he got to play different positions, to show off his versatility and what an asset that is to an NFL roster. Trust me, guys, that is a huge point in his favor with this Rams team. A huge part of the reason why he went off the board in the third round is because you look at Keagen Trost and you don't just see a right tackle. You see a number of different things. And that is coming up more in depth on the back end of today's show. But before we get to all that, I got to give a shout out to our sponsor on today's video, and that is SeatGeek. Guys, it is summer right now. It's getting crazy hot. And when it gets hot like this, the number one thing that I love to do is get out and see a live event. But the thing that really stinks about getting out to do that is the price it can cost, or at least that was the case for me until I found SeatGeek, guys. SeatGeek has totally changed my ticket buying experience. Whether I'm shopping for concert tickets with the fiance or Rams tickets with the family, I know that SeatGeek has me covered. And the best part about it is I know I'm getting a good deal. Every ticket is scaled from 1 to 10 with SeatGeek, so I'm always looking for tickets in that 10 range. I'm thinking about heading out to this Giants at Rams game early on in the season, so I can go through, find the green dots or the high-rated deals, and quickly find a deal that is absolutely great. I know that's going to be really competitive, and I can also take a look at the seat view as well from SeatGeek. This is a feature I absolutely love. They show you exactly what it's going to look like from any spot in the stadium, so you know that your view is not going to be obstructed when you get in there and before you confirm that ticket purchase. And of course, speaking of ticket purchase, I've got a code for you guys to save a little money. You can use code CHAT10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code CHAT10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to talking about Keagen Trost. Because up until 2025, I don't think anyone really looked at him. He didn't really look at himself, according to interviews, as a true NFL prospect, as somebody that had an NFL future. But in 2025, at Mizzou, he spent that offseason getting sharpened and honed against SEC talent, guys who went early on in this year's draft. And then he comes out at right tackle for Missouri and earns the highest overall PFF grade of any tackle in America last season at the college level, a 92 overall PFF grade, 85 pass blocking grade, 91.4 run blocking grade, 1 sack allowed all season, and he only had 4 penalties. This dude was an absolute beast for Missouri. And that is what attracts the Rams to this guy. You see, after a couple years of kind of winding development, he started to look more like the finished product at right tackle last season. And the best part about that is he did it against the highest level of competition he was yet to face. However, I say more of a finished product. I don't think Trost is yet a finished product. I think his ceiling is still pretty high, even though he's an older prospect. I think there's still development runway there for sure. But ideally, for this Rams team, he's not going to be a year one starter. He's not going to be somebody that comes in and steals a role in year one from one of the 5 guys who've already established themselves as starters along this offensive line. It's a pretty established room heading into this season. You know, when you look at this group, you look across it, A.J. Jackson, as long as everything goes the way it seems to be going, I'll say that, with his case off the field, there's no suspension there, then he should be locked in at that left tackle spot. Steve Avila, of course, he's going to play left guard. Coleman Shelton feels very locked in at center right now. Kevin Dotson, of course, he's going to be our right guard. We love Big K. Dot. And then Warren McClendon is the right tackle coming back for another season. So Trost right now factors mostly as depth, but versatile depth. Remember, this guy can play left tackle for you. This guy can, of course, play right tackle for you. That's where we've got him on our depth chart right now. But he can also fit in those left and right guard spots. He's done that in the past as well. And here's what's really important about that. Last year, we were missing at least one member of our starting offensive line in 15 of the 18 games. Can you believe that? Or the 17 games, 17 games schedule, 8 weeks, 18 weeks. We missed at least one starter in 15 of our 17 games. In nearly every single game, we were down at least one starting offensive lineman. It was largely Rob Havenstein missing most of last year. He ended up missing 13 games, but Steve Avila missed some time early on in the year. A.J. Jackson missed a game. Kevin Dotson missed a couple of games after Derek Hall just brutally crushed his ankle. Dirty play. I will never forget that, Derek Hall. We're coming for you, Seahawks, this season. But again, you're looking at a guy here in Keagen Trost who, if injuries were to come up, can plug a lot of these holes. He can be the solution for a lot of these different problems. Sean McVay spoke about that pretty recently. He said, especially if you're not a guy that's coming in as a plug-and-play starter, especially on the offensive line, and you end up being the third or the fourth tackle, you got to be able to play the right or the left. For us with him, he's fortunate enough that he can swing inside. He could really play center if he had to. That value is incredibly versatile when you're typically going with 8 offensive linemen on game day. Okay, so again, Trost's versatility is his biggest strength here. Because again, when he talks about 8 offensive linemen on game day, he's talking about even the depth of backups as well. Trost allows you to limit other backups because you know he can fill a variety of spots for you. You don't have to keep as many guys along the offensive line because of what Keagen Trost is and what his role will bring to this team. His versatility early on for him as a depth piece is going to be his biggest strength. The biggest add from Keagen Trost in year one is going to be that if injuries come up, which we know this about the offensive line across the NFL. Ask any NFL head coach what position you wish you could just protect from injury every year. I think a lot of them are going to go offensive line. If I could pick an entire group to protect from injury, it would be the offensive line because you want to keep that group together and you want to be able to trust your starters. Trost allows you to have a guy you trust on the bench filling any of those 5 spots. He could even, according to our head coach, fill in at center. But beyond year one, what lies in the future for Keagen Trost? We're going to project Trost's role in the future coming up on today's show, so stay with us here. But before we do that, I've got to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor here at Chat Sports, the good people over at America's #1 sports picks app, Prize Picks. Guys, if you are a regular viewer of the Rams Report, you know I love Prize Picks because it just adds so much more excitement to watching sports. But if you've never tried them out before, it is an absolutely great time to get started, and it's never been easier to play daily fantasy than it is with Prize Picks. All you have to do is pick from 2 to 6 players. You're selecting more or less on their stat projections, whether it's points, assists, rebounds, hits, home runs, strikeouts, goals, shots on target. They've got plenty of options from all your favorite sports. Plus, they also have awesome social features that allow you to easily tail or fade your friends or your favorite creators, including me. I'm Jackson Durham with no spaces, just the first and last on there. You guys can easily drop a follow on the Prize Picks app, and you'll be able to see all of my latest lineups, including this one that I've got going for the World Cup action right now. We're going with the more on Mbappe, we're going with the more on Haaland, and the more on Harry Kane. So if you guys are new to Prize Picks, make sure you use our promo code. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. The clickable link to download the app is in the comments and the description below. As always, thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to talking about the potential future for Mr. Keagen Trost. So I think one of the things that you think about when you draft a player like Keagen Trost is how he could help with this problem right here. And I think there's 2 ways that he could help with this problem right here, but one that is a little bit more likely than the other. He could either fill one of these 2 gaps for you between Warren McClendon and Steve Avila. And you can't keep them all. We've talked about this a lot. Obviously, Puka's going to get kept. We know that one's a check. Kobe Turner feels like a 95% check. So from there, you're making tough decisions. Are we keeping Byron Young? Probably not. Are we keeping Warren McClendon? Feels like that one might be more likely, especially if they were going to sign him before the season starts and they feel like they can get a good value deal on it. Steve, like Byron, he kind of feels like the offensive version of Byron. You know, we've talked about Byron Young as the odd man out on the defensive side of the ball for a while now. Can Keagen Trost be the Steve Avila replacement? And man, this would kind of suck. I'm not going to lie. Personally, Steve is one of my favorite players on the Rams. That guy brings so much energy to this team. He has been really good when he's been a healthy starter. Obviously, he had some struggles at the center position, but when he's been playing left guard for this team, he has been really, really good. He's been a really solid piece of the solution for this team, helping us Yeah, I mean, like, I think we need this guy to step up and play extremely well this season. But if Keagen Trost can fill his role going forward, if Keagen Trost can be his replacement, can we get the offensive line depth chart up? You're all good. We're going to switch over to that offensive line depth chart because at the end of the day, I think what we're looking at here is Keagen Trost potentially sliding into that left guard spot. So coming over right now, we've got him in it right or underneath right Warren McClendon as a right tackle. But I think you guys, again, you have to think about how versatile he is. You could literally list him, and it's redundant to do this, so we don't. But you could literally list him as the backup, I think direct backup for everybody other than Coleman Shelton. And even if you did list him as the direct backup for Coleman Shelton, I don't even think that's a crazy stretch either, that he would be favorable to Austin Blasky or Dylan McMahon as the ultimate guy that you would push into the lineup if Coleman Shelton was to get injured. But I think as you think about a long-term future for him, it is most likely replacing Steve Avila along this offensive line, or if Steve breaks out this season and they decide to keep him, maybe it's replacing Kevin Dotson. That feels incredibly far-fetched right now, or Warren McClendon. One of those three guys, I feel like, who are all expiring free agents at the end of this season, alongside Shelton himself. One of them has to go at the end of the day. Probably two of them are going to have to walk. We're just not going to have the cap to keep everybody together. This is going to be a puzzle for Les Snead to solve, but Keagen Trost is a huge piece of the puzzle. Whether it's ultimately as the long-term left guard, or right tackle, if he can be a hit for Les Snead and for Sean McVay, if they can hit on this guy in the third round, they've had success hitting on late round and undrafted offensive linemen in the past. Warren McClendon and A.J. Jackson, two great examples of that. If this can be another one, this can be another steal for them. It can be a huge help. Trost can be a huge help in solving the cap equation, the cap crunch that is going to come for this team after this season. We've talked about the cap expanding. We know that's going to help a little bit, but at the end of the day, tough decisions have to get made. Trost might make one just a little bit less tough than it currently is. That's going to wrap it up for us on today's episode of the Rams Report, though, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making it to this point in today's video. If you did and you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that sub button and drop a follow on my Twitter if you want to keep up with me on other socials as well. We're at jdurham_fball, and I'm always tweeting about the Rams over there. So I'll see you over on Twitter, and I'll see you in our video tomorrow. Have a good one.